and we'll crunch it up like what we had from the very beginning. So this is what we were looking at. So chart pan, we deal with bars. We can turn on and off our NinjaTrader toolbar, and then we've discussed all of our draw objects, all the way back to the ruler. Now what I haven't discussed is the icons to the right of the red eye, to the left of the ruler. Now what you'll see here is icons in NinjaTrader's toolbar. Okay, you can see that this is the same cursor icon as this. So I change this to a crosshair. I change this to a pointer. The same choices that we have here. This is a show chart trader or hide chart trader. So if I middle click this, then chart trader turns off and this turns gray. If I middle click it again, it comes back on. Here we have a selectable drop down for the snap action, whether we want it disabled, whether we want to snap it to the bar, to the price, or to bar and price. And then the next icon is stay in draw mode. Now stay in draw mode and snap mode are actually a part of NinjaTrader's drop down draw. Snap mode, same thing that we have here, we have up here. Stay in draw mode. If we click this, it's the same thing as if we middle click this. I middle click this to turn that on. When I come down here and look at this, it is now on. I middle click this to turn that off. I come down and look, and that is now off. I need to work on syncing these together. They're not necessarily synced, meaning I can come down here and I can click on this stay in draw mode, and then my icon still kind of remains dark shade saying that that's off, and I don't necessarily have the events, the event of the NinjaTrader toolbar tied into mine. I might look at doing that in the future, and I might not. It's just something that you need to be aware of. The reason those features are in the drawbar to begin with is because over here we allow you to hide NinjaTrader's toolbar. So now if I've got NinjaTrader's toolbar hidden and I'm looking at a pointer like I'm looking at, and I want crosshairs instead, I have to show NinjaTrader's toolbar, come down, select. Whereas I allow you now to put that icon in the drawbar, so you don't need NinjaTrader's drawbar to do these particular features. Now, for the most part, I don't necessarily turn my chart trader on and off. I hardly ever use my snap mode or change it. I had a customer that does, that goes between price and bar and not enabled at all. And depending on whether you're drawing fibs, depending on whether you want it to snap actually to the price, that's a NinjaTrader feature. Depending on whether you want your draw object to snap to a specific price or a specific bar would be how you would set yours up. It's up to you. If you want to know more about that particular feature, I would suggest you take a look at NinjaTrader forums and their ecosystem and take a look at some of their training videos for that. So now, we've gone through the hide all, our color palette. We've got to turn our color palette on and off, our time bar, our reset everything, NinjaTrader's tools that we're adding here, the ruler, all of our draw objects, our remove, show and hide trades, price line, show and hide all labels, NinjaTrader's toolbar, things we can do with our bars itself, and then our chart pan. Now again, sometimes, depending on the size of your chart, you can see here that my icons go all the way across, and they don't show all the way across. In all of these instances, on the far right-hand side, you see a little drop down that you can actually go to any one of them. If I click on Remove Draw Objects, it brings it up. So even though it doesn't fit all the way across, all of your icons are still there with the drop down. Now, I don't necessarily show all of these objects because I don't use them all. I tend to customize my drawbar depending on the size of the chart that I have it on the monitor that I'm looking at, and depending on the features that I want to see if it's a full screen like this. If I left click on the icon in NinjaTrader's toolbar, it brings up the original menu that we brought up when we installed the toolbar. We selected all and said show. So now I'm back into that menu again. Me personally, I don't use the arc. I don't use a GAN fan. I don't use a fib circle. I don't use the time extensions. I don't use the regression channel a lot, but I do on occasion. So I'll leave that there. I use my arrows up and down. I don't use a diamond. I don't use a dot. I don't use a square. I will use a triangle up and down, and I'll mark my chart in some, for some ways or another. So these are just the draw objects themselves, and I've changed these, and I'm going to show. So now you can see that here I had a square, a circle, a rectangle. I had additional Fibonacci tools that were here. My arc is gone. Now only what I have selected is being displayed in my drawbar. If I left click on that again and say, okay, I'm not going to mess with ChartTrader. I don't want ChartTrader on there. I'm not going to mess with the snap mode. I'm not going to show that. I'm not going to mess with the cursors because let's just say that I personally am not going to be a person to hide NinjaTrader's toolbar. Well, if that's the case, then you don't need NinjaTrader's icons in their toolbar and this drawbar above it. So turn the cursors off. I never, this icon here, show all labels, I never turn all my labels off. There's no reason for me to have that icon in my drawbar. I might show trades, I use high bars, I need to remove draw objects for sure. I might hide NinjaTrader's toolbar now and then, so I'll leave that. Stay in draw mode, I tend to leave that on my drawbar even though I don't need to, but mainly because to get to it, I've got to click here and then click where here it's just a simple middle click. And then my color style palette. Okay, I don't have the time palette in the menu system here, and I could, and I've thought about adding it. I probably should add it, but this is nice and clean right now, and I'm just trying to figure out a way of bringing up a menu and make it aesthetically pleasing by adding that in there. Now that I have some other options and stuff that I didn't have before, I might look at redoing this in the future, possibly. But now that I've gotten rid of these, I can get rid of that, and now when I bring down and make my chart smaller, most everything fits there. And now my drawbar icon is customized to this particular chart in how I wanted to see it. If I have another chart, I can customize it to that chart. They can, all of your charts. I have a workspace that's got 24 charts on it, and this indicator is on every single one of them. I can customize every single chart to be any way I want independently. like any of my indicators or any of these draw object icons up here. If I draw something on my chart and I middle click that, I hide it. And then if I middle click that again, I show it. If I middle click the icon for the drawbar that I put in NinjaTrader's toolbar, it will hide the drawbar. Now if I hid this and I hid this, and this is just my drawbar and I don't have my color palette or my time, let's just turn the time off in the drawbar, and I middle click that, my drawbar completely goes away. Now you can see that I have a color palette and I have the drawbar, and then when I click this, both of those goes away. But if I have my time bar and I click that my drawbar and my color palette went away, but the time palette or the time bar didn't. That is by design. Okay, the color style palette doesn't work or is of no use unless I'm using my drawbar. Now, in essence, it probably would. You could use the color style palette and go back to and use it as far as, I mean, if I turned this on and I came and I drew, well, let's, okay, so that's blue. My pitchforks are default white. So I'll turn that on. We'll set this to yellow and we'll just draw an arrow line. Okay, so it works. It does work with NinjaTrader's drop down, but I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to use the color style palette for Ninja's drop down when you've got the drawbar right here. So I'm going to turn that off just so it doesn't interfere. And just realize that the style palette is associated to the drawbar. So if we're not showing the drawbar, we're not going to show the style palette either. The time bar is completely independent of the drawbar. It doesn't just, I mean, it's completely separate and has nothing to do with it, which is why I give you the opportunity to look at it independently. Okay, I think I've covered most every feature associated to this. So now let's take a look at the indicator properties itself. Anybody that is an existing customer is going to see a major change in the amount of properties that are available for the indicator itself. If you were a previous customer, you could scroll down and you would scroll down and you would scroll down, and there was just a ton of options. Every single option associated to each of the drop downs for each of the objects was in here. All of your check boxes were in here. I had some storage container type things that were in here. I've literally hidden almost 150 different types of options or features that are available in this particular indicator that are now hidden from view. I had customers that were coming in trying to turn on and off things through the property settings. It wasn't designed to be as difficult as that. You didn't need to go into the properties to adjust things. Everything is available through the drawbar drop downs themselves or through the menu bar. Now, it's a very clean look where I still have to give you a few options. If we scroll all the way up to the top, there are no parameters per se. The data, this is a part of NinjaTrader. Calculate on bar close equals false. I'm going to leave that. You can put it on true. You can put it on false. Leave it on false. It doesn't add any resources. That way everything gets updated on a tick-by-tick basis. Your price line won't work if you put it to true. Your show organics won't show on the current bar if you put it to true. You're not going to see, again, I've designed this to be very, to not need a lot of resources. You're not going to see a difference one way or the other. Matter of fact, I'm not sure if I have it built in to force this to be false or not. Good way to find out would be to say apply. I guess I don't. I probably should force you to look at having that on false. The visual effects, this is all NinjaTrader default. The first thing that we're going to see from a drawbar settings starts here. Now, I'm going to skip this for a minute and come back to it in just a second. I'm going to skip down, to the next section, and I'm going to look at the opacity. When we were drawing our rectangles and our ellipses with our arrow line, we can set the opacity of the background fill color to whatever we want. So just a quick dirty explanation, rectangle opacity. I'm going to, it's on 20 right now. If I draw a rectangle from here to show and extend my rectangle out, if I come back into my indicator properties, I scroll down and I set this to 200 instead of 20. You can see that the opacity of that fill has gotten a lot darker. Same type of thing works for the rectangles, the ellipses, and even the fib extensions. I can't remember if I showed you that on the line tool or not, but for the line, the rectangle, and the fib opacities can all be adjusted here. 20 works great for me. If you have a black chart, they might need to be a little darker. Just remember, when they get a little darker, it's going to be a little harder to see your bars through them. Your price line settings, I believe we came in to show you those. You can set that to false, for array, all your style, your length, and such. The bar organics that were a part of showing you the 45, 55, and the dots for the quarters, the bar organic midpoint, bar organic quarters. We can adjust them to be a dash and a hash, a dot. You can adjust it, you can play with that to adjust them any which way you want. You're probably going to leave it exactly the way it is right now, other than maybe adjusting the width down to 1 or even bigger, and or changing the colors of them if you want to change the colors of them. I haven't covered the workspaces yet. Within the color palette, and within the drawbar, but in the color palette bar, I have also included a workspace changer in this particular indicator. So if I go show workspace buttons and I change this to true, and here my workspace 1, I use my pull down, and here is a selection of all of the workspaces that you have set up in NinjaTrader. This is looking in your workspace folder and only going to give you options of what you currently have set up. I'm on CL now, so we'll look at CL. I'll look at ES. Let's look at gold. Okay, and I have a stocks one too. If I turn that to true, select up to 7 workspaces and click OK, you're going to now see that in my color palette, I now have those workspaces added. If I were to click on my stocks workspace, it would open up my stocks workspace and all of the charts associated to that workspace. Just remember that if you do this, make sure that in the workspace that you're changing to, that you have the drawbar set up on at least one of your charts and the workspaces set up on that chart so that you can get back to the workspace that you went from. If I click on this, the only way I'm going to get back to this particular workspace is if I have this set up on a chart in that other workspace that I go to. Just remember that. Let's go back into the indicator properties again. You don't have to use this. You can select all of these, turn that to false, and if I click apply, those won't show up in your color palette anymore and they won't be active. It's there if you want to use it, and it's there if you're not. At the very bottom of all of my indicators, you'll see a vendor setting. All of this is a read-only, but what I want to show you down here is product. Okay, I'm currently on my Drawbar Ultimate version 7.23. This is the latest and greatest version. If you're on version 1 or you're on version 12, you're several versions behind. This is a quick, easy way that you can go in and see whatever version of whatever indicator you're using of mine to determine what indicator is on your chart. Okay, in order to update these, if you go to my website and you go to your My Accounts, all of my indicators are now available on your My Accounts page on my website. Log in with your account that you purchased, that you signed up on my website with. Go to your My Accounts page, and whatever you've purchased is available for download there. The latest version will be available, and at times there will be 2 versions available. Like you might go there right now and see version 7.22 and 7.23. 7.23 is something I'm going to release today. Okay, the reason why I put 7.22 there is because we know that it's been out for, it's probably been out for a couple weeks or a month, and it's a pretty stable version. I will always leave the last stable version on the website, and as well as the brand new one. Sometimes when I make updates, it's hard to tell whether or not I've introduced any types of bugs that might happen. If you experience a problem with the brand new, with the latest and greatest, then go back and revert back to the older one. Upgrading my indicators, all of my indicators come in the form of self-installing exe files. Download them to a directory, close NinjaTrader, double-click the indicator exe, and follow the prompts. You've got to go through about 3 prompts to install the upgrade. You're going to click it, follow the prompts, put in the password that you received in your registration email, another click, and you're installed. Open NinjaTrader back up, and your charts will be automatically updated to the current version. Upgrades of my indicator are extremely simple. Okay, now let's go back up to the top, and the last thing that we need to cover is our drawbar settings. Show drawbar true or false. If I turn that to false, we'll hide it. Same thing with the color palette here, same thing with the show time bar. I considered removing them since those options are actually available through the middle click of the icon, but just to keep things a little more simplistic, I went ahead and left them in your settings. The drawbar location, I currently have it set for the top. You can set the drawbar, the color palette, and the time bar in whatever location you want. So say that I wanted to change this and put this on the left-hand side instead of the top. I would select the left-hand side, and now my drawbar is over here to the left. When it's applied to the left or right side, it tends to grow a little in width. It's not quite as aesthetically pleasing in my opinion, but some people want it on the left. I give you the ability to put it on the left. If you want it on the bottom, select the bottom, click apply, and now it's down here on the bottom. I personally use it at the top. I would also suggest that the color palette and the drawbar stay in the same panel. So if you put the drawbar down at the bottom, put your color palette down there too. Those two go hand in hand. Now I would go ahead and select the top. Now what you will see from this drop down, you could also select fill in the chart region. That is not going to work. If I click apply, it's going to be gone. You cannot apply it to the fill region of the chart. You also would not want to click the fill or the none, or they won't apply. So even though the options are there, the only ones that work are left, top, right, bottom. Let's put this on the top, and let's take our time bar and put it, whoop, we want to show it, but we're going to put it on the left side. Some people like this look. So if I were to close that and close NinjaTrader's toolbar, I've got a time bar coming all the way down here the left side of the chart. I've got my drawbar and my color palette up on towards the top. I personally just leave everything at the top. I think that just works for me, but I do give you the option to choose wherever it is that you want to put it. There's only two other options in this in the settings here that I want to cover with you. If you happen to be using, I use a darker gray chart, white and black candles. Sometimes I use green and red candles. There's times that at time I had a black chart, at times I had a white chart, and sometimes I go back and forth just for a different look and feel, and to feel like I've got something new. This is my standardization as it sits today. And but if, let's just say you had a more of a red chart, or let's say that you had a rosy brown background in your chart. Your background was rosy brown. I allow you to change the background and the hide colors on each of the toolbars. Now, these colors apply to all three. When you change one, you change them all. But if I were to change my color default to rosy brown, you can see that my drawbar, my color palette, and my time palette, the background colors change to whatever color I have selected here. That way, if you have a different colored chart and you want to match the color that you're using for the background of your chart, you can. Just be aware here that, you see that my hidden color is still gray, and it doesn't show up real well in this particular, it doesn't look like it shows up well. I'll bet if I pick fire brick or a darker color like that, we can see that my hidden icons show up much better. Just be aware of whatever color you're picking for a default, make sure that you pick a color that is pronounced enough that you can tell what you have hidden and what you don't. I'm going to go back real quick to my standard layout. This will be by default. And I believe we have covered everything. Drawbar settings, true, false, everything here. Our opacities, our price lines. Again, if you've been an older customer, you're going to really like the looks of the property settings now, to where it's not all cluttered with stuff that it only has what is important, or what should and can be changed in the properties that can't be through some of your other settings. Okay. I hope that I have covered all the features. I'm sorry this has taken so much time. This has grown into an extremely feature-rich type of indicator. If you have any questions, as always, just list your comments down below. I can be reached at Edge358 on Skype, or send a message to support@htech.net. Thanks for listening. I'm sorry this took so long. Wish everybody well and good trading.